The Flash is probably the DCEU's biggest bomb in history, but it might be their best movie yet, and here's why. Now, we all know our friendly speedster hit the big screens this summer, July. However, he was very swiftly purged from said screens. And I'm sure most of us are aware of the plethora of reasons this was so, ranging from a very controversial lead actor. I don't even know if that's what I can use to describe him, but that's what I'm going with. A never-ending change in producers, and even the film company discrediting the entire universe. This movie was almost destined to fail from the start, despite good critical acclaim. And it's very possible and plausible for me to sit here and fabricate a topic and go on and on about how the movie was whack, how the story was whack, how the production was whack. However, that would just simply be a lie. I mean, there's no other way to put it, and I'll talk more about my reasoning concerning this later on. But for now, that's all you need to know. I love The Flash, and it was painful to me that it didn't get the reception it deserved. I do truly think that, unlike the mishap that Shazam was, this is one of DC's better projects, and the first reason would have to be the lead actor. Now, before I continue, I know some of you might want to blast me in the comments to tell me about all the atrocities this man has committed. I just want to say, I know. Yes, he's done questionable bad things, but that's really not what this video is about. I just want to reiterate that. Barry Allen, quite judiciously played by Ezra Miller, was the character of this film. He was the star of the show. And before you come up with the comparison between him and Grant Gustin, I want to tell you that there can be two great Flashes. I don't know, maybe I'm just splurging at this point, but it seems like it's possible. I cannot emphasize how Barry Allen single-handedly made me so immersed in the story. I mean, this is what a real round character looks like. This isn't some flat cardboard character cutout meant to just deliver fan service. This is a real person with real struggles and a very real dichotomy. And the movie highlighted it better with younger Barry. We got to see all the sides of Barry's character in 3D. Nothing left out. His humor, his bubbling enthusiasm, his propensity for loneliness, as well as his propensity to be super friendly. The dynamics between the two Barrys, along with the undeniably funny quips, made this movie that much more enjoyable. There was a scene where he was enraged at younger Barry for making a joke out of everything that was obviously going to shit, and he just starts yelling at him even though that's basically him several years before. Personally, what made the interaction between the two Barrys more interesting was the young Barry was a version of him that had everything he wanted. So essentially that was who Barry was supposed to be if he hadn't lost both his parents. There was a dichotomy in their characters, still though, the similarity between them was palpable. Basically what I'm saying is that they were the same person and we can see and feel that they were the same person. However, we could also tell that these were two different people with two different stories. Pushing Barry into a position where he's no longer the rookie of the Justice League, but now a fully fledged mentor was exciting at the very least. From all the times we've seen Barry's characters in the Justice League, the two of them were used to this hyperactive, humorous, carefree character. But in this iteration, he's forced to not entirely relinquish those traits, but at the very least he's anxious and weary of the consequences of his actions. He's also a mentor now to himself, which is probably the best form of introspection any person can possibly have. And it's a great idea. And again, this just goes to reiterate the acting chops of Ezra Miller. Say what you will about the man, he is a great actor regardless, and while I don't condone his behaviors, I can clearly see why the producers decided to keep him on. Another thing that really stood out about this film for me was the emotional weight. Now, I'm not saying this is some Natasha sacrificing herself for the entire world type stuff, but it was still impactful. And despite the active humor and quippy dialogue, unlike some movies we know, the stakes were very much still present here. Sure, it's the same thing we've seen with several other movies and franchises. That said, it doesn't necessarily make it a bad one. I mean, if a trope is executed properly and still carries vivid emotional weight, does it being a trope make it any less impactful? This is me trying to debunk the whole nonsense that because we've seen the MCU do the whole multiverse thing repeatedly, and because we've seen even Warner Bros do the time travel bit one too many times, that doing it again and making it original is not permitted. Because spoiler alert, it is. It's perfectly fine to redo tropes if they're done with new creativity, and in my opinion, this was. Let's talk about the climax now, shall we? The Flash took us on a roller coaster blast from the past with Michael Keaton's iteration of Batman, and then basically reenacting Man of Steel. I would say I did have mixed feelings about this. For what it's worth, I really don't think this was the best route they could have gone. I just feel like there was a more creative route that could have done more justice with the story. I don't know, what if instead of Zod attacking, we have Savitar, or even Godspeed? You know, like another speedster? It would have elevated the climax and just give it a more central closing point. I guess my unpopular take here is that Supergirl was not needed here. The incorporation of Kryptonians in this movie made it come off as too try-hard. Yes, we know they are trying to build a universe, or they aren't, can't even tell at this point. But that shouldn't be done at the detriment of the story. And that's what I also preached in my last video with Shazam. You can check that out in the description or up here. Nevertheless, what Shazam did was an eyesore compared to this, so I'm not even going to make that comparison. But yeah, emphasizing the whole EU in the DCEU might actually be doing more harm than good for the franchise. This is just my opinion though, so I could be wrong, but I do think this is one of the things that affected this movie. But did that make it a bad movie overall? No, actually I did enjoy it a lot, and I can't say that for many movies this year. That said, the final scenes didn't grate on me that much, but it was just a nitpick I couldn't help but point out. The action scenes themselves were obviously very good. I mean, with the practical and creative utilization of Flash's powers we've come to know and love, just adding that extra flair. I want to quickly make clear that I'm aware that Dark Flash was the main villain of the movie. He was the one pulling all the antagonistic strings, if I may. However, the final battle with him was actually quite fast, and everything just felt rushed. Okay, I'll stop. I'm sorry, it would just be a complete waste to not do at least one of those in this video. Anyway, you get the point. We didn't get enough speedster action between Barry and the actual main baddie. Meanwhile, we got more than enough time with our knockoff Zod. Once again, this is all my opinion, and don't feel too strongly about it, will ya? Yeah, I just wanted to highlight the good in this movie because I see so many people talking about the negatives when there was actually a lot more of good. Even Stephen King, the GOAT, said it was a good movie, and I don't know what other proof you need. We just need more people with centered opinions that are not easily swayed by what they see online. Because for a lot of people, if they see someone talking poorly about a movie on Twitter, a normal person like them, and let's just say they have a little bit of influence, like their word would then be gospel. Which is, let's just not do that. I think we need to regain hold of our opinions and really not allow the media sway us so much I mean, you're free to hate a movie all you want, even if you've just watched a clip. Yes, just a clip. So long as you at least saw something that made you despise said movie. Anyway, that has been my take on The Flash. It wasn't as bad as people put it out to be, and that's it. However, there was a movie that was as bad, even worse than what was said about it, and that would be Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Check out what I had to say about that one right here. What did you think about The Flash? Was it horrible through and through, or was it a great watch? Let me know in the comments and see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Ciao now.